Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You are standing in the middle of a vast stage, lights shining, an audience watching, yet no one applauds. No one cheers. In fact, they look away, distracted, uninterested. How do you feel? For many, this is life. Living for the eyes of others, waiting desperately for their approval, shaping every move around, whether they stay or whether they leave. But what if I told you the applause you've been waiting for will never come from them? What if I told you the stage was never theirs? It was always yours. You see, the greatest prison is living for the opinions of others, and the greatest freedom is daring to focus entirely on yourself. The world outside is nothing but a reflection of the world within, and until you claim your inner power, you will remain a prisoner of their silence, their absence, their choices. So tonight, I invite you into a higher truth. A truth that will set you free, heal your heart, and awaken your imagination. The truth is simple, yet life-changing. Focus on yourself. Let them go. Send the call to turn within. There comes a moment in every life when the noise of the world grows unbearable. You feel it in the silence of your room at night, when the laughter fades, when the messages stop coming, when the voices that once praised you grow quiet. Suddenly you realize so much of what you've been living for has never truly been yours. You have been dancing to the rhythm of other people's drums, molding yourself for their approval, bending to their expectations, waiting for them to tell you who you are. And in that moment of clarity, a question pierces your heart. What would happen if I stopped chasing them and started choosing me? This is the beginning of awakening. Not the awakening of the world around you, but the awakening of the world within you. For the truth is this: the world you see is a mirror, and it reflects not what others think of you, but what you secretly believe about yourself. When you feel unworthy, you attract those who confirm it. When you live in fear of abandonment, you invite people who leave. When you doubt your brilliance, the world is only too eager to dim your light. But when you dare to believe in your own worthiness, your own vision, your own divine imagination, the mirror shifts. The outer world rearranges itself to reflect the new truth you carry within. Think of your life as a great play upon a stage. The cast of characters will change. Some will appear only briefly, others may remain for many scenes. But here is the great secret. You are not a supporting actor in their story. You are the playwright, the director, and the star of your own. Every line spoken, every twist of fate, every exit and entrance is responding to the script you hold within your imagination. Yet how many of us surrender that script? How many hand over the pen to others, asking them to write our worth, our destiny, our identity? And then we wonder why the story feels empty, why the stage feels dark. Beloved, hear this truth. The moment you stop living through them, you begin to live through you. The moment you release them, not with bitterness, but with freedom, you reclaim the pen, you reclaim the story, you reclaim yourself. Imagine for a moment a child holding a lantern in the middle of the night. All around is darkness, vast and unknown. The child trembles, but as long as he clutches the lantern, the path before him glows. Now picture him dropping the lantern to chase shadows in the dark. Suddenly the light is gone, and fear consumes him. This is what we do when we drop our focus on self to chase others. We leave behind the one light that can guide us, our inner vision, and stumble into darkness, terrified and lost. But if you hold your lantern, if you guard the flame within, no matter who walks with you or away from you, your path remains illuminated. To focus on yourself is not selfishness. It is alignment. It is remembering that no other human being was sent to carry your destiny. No other voice was meant to define your song. No other presence was designed to complete you. You are whole. You are complete. You are divine imagination, clothed in flesh. And the sooner you turn from their approval and turn toward your own inner vision, the sooner life begins to reveal its miraculous nature. Perhaps you've experienced this before. You were longing for someone's attention, desperate for their love, aching for their validation. Every thought circled around them. Every choice was shaped to keep them near. But then something shifted. You grew tired of the chase. You redirected your energy. You invested in yourself, your growth, your peace, your vision. And suddenly, almost as if by magic, they came running back. Why? Because the universe is wired to respond to the state of your inner being. When you live as if you are lacking, you push others away. But when you live as if you are whole, you draw to yourself only what aligns with that wholeness. Let me tell you a story not of another, but of a truth that lives within us all. Picture a young artist sitting at a canvas with trembling hands. Around him, a crowd gathers, shouting instructions. Use more red, paint her face brighter, change the scene, no one will like it this way. The artist, overwhelmed, obeys every command. He changes and changes until the canvas is no longer his own. And when he steps back, he doesn't recognize the work before him. He feels ashamed, broken, lost. But one day, he grows weary of their shouting. He throws down the brush, clears the canvas, and begins again, not for them but for himself. Stroke by stroke, he paints what his soul envisions. And when the masterpiece is complete, he doesn't care who approves. He knows it is his. That is freedom. That is the power of focusing on yourself. So I ask you, whose brush are you holding? Whose colors are you painting with? Are you creating your life by their demands, their judgments, their fleeting opinions? Or will you dare to wipe the canvas clean and begin anew with the vision of your own heart? This foundation is the beginning of a new story. It is the call to turn within, to remember the lantern, to reclaim the canvas, to live as the playwright of your destiny. And I tell you, once you dare to focus on yourself, to let them go, to write and paint and imagine your life from the inside out, nothing and no one will ever have power over you again. For the stage is yours, the pen is yours, the light is yours. And until you recognize that truth, you will keep searching in the shadows of others. But once you do, once you awaken, you will see clearly the only approval you have ever needed was your own. And that realization is where our journey begins. Jude, the prison of attachment. There is no prison more subtle, no cage more invisible than the one built from our own attachments. You cannot see its bars, yet you feel them every day. You feel them when your mood rises or falls depending on who calls you, who notices you, who stays beside you. You feel them when your peace is held hostage by another's silence, when your worth is determined by another's attention, when your future feels uncertain because someone else has not chosen you. And yet, though the door to this prison is wide open, most remain seated inside, waiting for their captors to hand them freedom. This is the tragedy of attachment. It convinces you that your happiness is outside of yourself. It whispers that if they love you, then you are lovable. If they approve, then you are worthy. If they stay, then you are complete. But what happens the moment they leave, the moment they withhold, the moment they turn away? The walls of the prison close in, and suddenly you are left staring at the cold reality that your foundation was never your own. It rested on shifting sand, and now the tide has swept it away. I want you to imagine a bird soaring high above the earth. Its wings are wide, its spirit unshaken, its flight effortless. Now picture that bird with a golden chain tied to its ankle, anchored to a heavy stone below. The bird still beats its wings, still strains against the sky, but every movement is limited, every effort weighed down. This is what attachment does to the soul. It promises you the sky, but anchors you to the ground. You may still dream, but you cannot rise. You may still desire, but you cannot ascend. Until the chain is broken, freedom remains a vision, never a reality. How many times have you felt that way? How many times have you clung to someone terrified of their departure, believing that without them your life would lose meaning? This clinging does not secure them. It suffocates you. For nothing held by fear can ever truly stay. Fear chases away the very thing it tries to hold. Attachment is not love. It is fear wearing love's mask. True love is born in freedom. It gives wings, not chains. It trusts. It releases. It allows. But attachment strangles the spirit and calls it devotion. You may ask, but what does it mean to let go? Letting go does not mean abandoning. It does not mean despising. It does not mean closing your heart. Letting go means loosening the grip of dependency. It means shifting the center of gravity back to where it belongs, inside yourself. It means you no longer live on borrowed air, waiting for someone else's breath to fill your lungs. Instead, you breathe deeply of your own spirit, and in doing so, you discover a freedom no one can take away. Let me tell you a story, one that lives in the silence of many hearts. A man once found himself deeply entangled in love, so entangled that every thought of his day circled around the other person. When they smiled, he shone. When they frowned, his world darkened. One evening, as he sat waiting for a call that never came, a realization struck him like lightning. I have given away my power, my soul is in their hands and they do not even know it. In that instant he felt the suffocation of his prison, and with trembling courage he chose to reclaim himself. He did not stop loving. He simply stopped clinging. He began to invest in his own growth, his own peace, his own vision. And in time he discovered the paradox. When he no longer needed their presence to survive, he finally knew how to love freely. For only the free can love without fear. The truth is, every attachment is a teacher. It shows you where you believe you are incomplete. When you cling to someone to feel loved, it reveals the place in you that doubts your lovability. When you hold tightly to someone to feel secure, it shows you where you have not yet found your inner strength. When you depend on another for happiness, it uncovers the part of you that has forgotten how to generate joy from within. Attachments are not curses. They are mirrors. They reveal the cracks in your foundation so that you may rebuild on solid ground. But let me be clear, the rebuilding does not happen through them. It happens through you. No one else can crawl into your soul and mend the fractures. No one else can pour self-belief into your heart. No one else can imagine your destiny for you. This is why focusing on yourself is not an option. It is a necessity. To break free from attachment is to reclaim the throne of your inner kingdom. To say, I will no longer be a prisoner of who stays and who leaves. I will rise, I will build, I will imagine, and I will walk in freedom, regardless of who chooses to join me. And so I invite you to reflect tonight, who holds the keys to your prison, who determines your worth, your joy, your peace, and most importantly, why have you handed it to them? Take it back, not with anger, not with resentment, but with love for yourself. For the greatest act of love you can give another is to free them from carrying the weight of your completeness. And the greatest act of love you can give yourself is to remember you were never incomplete to begin with. Letting go is not losing, it is discovering. It is discovering the self you abandoned in your pursuit of them. It is discovering the peace that was buried beneath the noise of dependence. It is discovering the unshakable truth that your life, your destiny, your being, has never belonged to anyone else. And when you finally step out of that prison of attachment, when the chain falls away and the wings of your soul are free to rise, you will see clearly what was hidden all along. You were always meant to soar, not because of them, not for them, but because flight is your nature. And now that you are free to rise, the question is this: what kind of sky will you choose to fly into? That is where we go next. 3. The mirror of the inner world. Look around you for a moment. Everything you see, every circumstance, every relationship, every victory, and every wound, it is all a mirror. The world outside is not separate from you. It is a faithful reflection of what you carry within. Just as a lake reflects the sky above it, your life reflects the images you hold in the secret chambers of your mind. The outer world is the echo. The inner world is the song. Change the song, and the echo must change. Yet here lies the great mistake of humanity. We try to polish the mirror while ignoring the face it reflects. We demand that others act differently, treat us better, give us more, stay longer. We beg the reflection to shift, all while clinging to the same inner assumptions that created it. But you cannot shout at a mirror and expect it to display a new image. You cannot curse the reflection and remain unchanged. The mirror does not lie, it obeys. Consider this. A man stands before a mirror, his clothes stained, his face weary. He grows angry at the reflection. He blames the glass for his appearance. In frustration, he wipes the surface, hoping to remove the dirt. Yet the image remains because the source is not in the glass but in himself. So it is with life. Your relationships, your finances, your opportunities, your struggles, they are not the cause, they are the mirror. The cause is within. This is why focusing on yourself is the only true path to transformation. When you change inwardly, the outer world cannot resist. It must conform. You may think others hold the power. Those who rejected you, betrayed you, dismissed you, but they are only actors following the script you have written with your beliefs. If you secretly believe you are unworthy, they will play their role by leaving you. If you believe you are unseen, they will play their role by ignoring you. But the moment you change the script, the actors must change their performance, or else they will exit the stage altogether. Let me tell you a story. There was once a woman who longed for recognition in her work. Day after day she labored tirelessly, but her efforts went unnoticed. Her colleagues overlooked her, her superiors dismissed her, and she grew bitter, convinced the world was against her. But one evening, exhausted and broken, she sat in silence and asked herself a simple question. What am I believing about myself? In that stillness, she realized she had been carrying the silent conviction that she was invisible, that her voice did not matter, and the world, like a faithful servant, had obeyed that belief. So she dared to change. Night after night, she imagined herself celebrated, respected, and valued. She saw herself walking with confidence, her voice carrying weight, her presence undeniable. She persisted in that vision until it felt more real than the past. And slowly the mirror began to change. Opportunities appeared. Her work was noticed. The very same people who had once dismissed her now sought her opinion. She had not changed them, she had changed herself. And the mirror simply reflected the new image she carried within. Beloved, do you see the power in this? The mirror of life is never against you. It is only ever for you. It reveals the truth of what you believe so that you may awake. Every disappointment is not a punishment but a mirror saying, look again, see what you are holding inside. Every rejection is not cruelty but reflection, urging you to ask, what do I assume about myself that allows this? The mirror is your ally, not your enemy. But here is where courage is required. For it is easier to blame the glass than to change the face. It is easier to demand others shift than to examine the beliefs we have carried for years. And yet true freedom is born only when you accept this radical responsibility. Nothing changes until I do. This is not a burden, it is liberation. For if the cause is within, then the power to transform is also within. Let me give you an image to hold. Imagine your inner world as a projector, and your outer world as the screen. The film inside the projector contains your assumptions, your beliefs, your feelings. The world simply displays the movie. If you dislike the film, do you blame the screen? Do you shout at the projection? No. You change the film, you edit the reel, you choose a new story, and instantly the screen must reflect it. This is the way of life. So I ask you, what film are you playing inside? What assumptions are you projecting onto the world? If you are tired of the same story, stop editing the screen and change the reel. For until you do, the mirror will only repeat what you already believe. This is why the call to focus on yourself is so urgent. When you turn inward, you are not abandoning the world. You are mastering it. When you tend to your inner garden, the outer garden blooms. When you rewrite your assumptions, the actors on the stage of your life shift accordingly. And when you finally realize that every person, every circumstance, every event is but a reflection of your own inner state, you are free at last. Free because you no longer need to chase, to beg, to force. You only need to imagine, believe, and persist. But let me leave you with this thought, a thought to carry into the next chapter of our journey. If the world is a mirror, then every image you see is not final. It is flexible. The reflection can change the moment you do. And the question you must ask yourself is not, why are they treating me this way, but what am I believing about myself that makes this treatment possible? Answer that honestly and you will hold the key to transformation. For the mirror has never been your master. It has only ever been your servant. And once you understand this truth, the only question that remains is, what new image will you dare to reflect into the world? 4. The story we write. Every moment of your life, whether you realize it or not, you are holding a pen. And with that invisible pen, you are writing a story. Sometimes you write consciously, with intention, with clarity, with vision. But more often, you write unconsciously, scribbling out lines of fear, doubt, and unworthiness. Yet regardless of whether you are aware, the story you write in the theater of your imagination becomes the script by which your life unfolds. Ask yourself, what story have you been writing about who you are? Are you the forgotten one, always overlooked? Are you the struggler, destined to scrape and claw for every blessing? Are you the one who is abandoned, betrayed, or rejected? Or are you the creator, the visionary, the beloved one who walks with quiet confidence, knowing the world must rise to meet your inner song? Stories are powerful because they do not stay confined to the mind. They spill outward, shaping every circumstance. A person who sees themselves as a victim cannot help but attract conditions that affirm victimhood. A person who imagines themselves destined for greatness will encounter doors that seem to open as if by magic. The world bends to the story you hold about yourself. For the story is the seed, and the world is the soil. Think of a child playing in the backyard, pretending to be a king or a queen. The child may wear no crown, no robe, no jewels, yet the way they carry themselves shifts entirely. Their back straightens, their voice commands authority, their eyes glow with majesty. Even in play, they are transformed. And though no throne sits in the grass, for that moment the kingdom is real to them. Life itself responds to such imagination. For imagination is not make-believe, it is the blueprint of being. You are doing the same thing every day. The question is not whether you are imagining, but what story are you imagining yourself into? If you constantly replay scenes of abandonment, you bind yourself to that role. If you walk through life rehearsing conversations of failure, you trap yourself in that script. But if you dare to rehearse victory, to walk in the confidence of love, to imagine yourself thriving, then the story you carry will weave itself into the fabric of your life, until it can no longer be denied. Let me share an image with you. Imagine your mind as a grand library. Within it are countless books, each one a story of who you could be. There is a book titled The One Who Never Succeeds, another titled The One Who Is Always Left Behind, another titled The Beloved, The Victorious, The Prosperous. Each book is complete, waiting for you to open it and read. And whatever book you spend your time in, the story begins to come alive. The characters step onto your stage, circumstances arise, and you find yourself living the very tale you have chosen. But here is the wonder: you are not chained to one book. At any moment you can close the old story and open a new one. You can set aside the forgotten one and take up the triumphant one. You can put away the rejected and embrace the desired. You can turn from the unworthy and begin to live from the radiant and chosen. The library is endless, but the choice is yours. Now many will protest, but my life proves the story I tell. I say I am overlooked, because I truly am overlooked. I say I am poor because I truly am poor. Yet they miss the truth. The outer is not the proof. The outer is the product. Life does not confirm who you are. It reflects who you believe yourself to be. Change the belief, and the mirror must eventually show a new reflection. This is why it is so vital to focus on yourself. For the story you tell inwardly is the foundation of everything out. If you long for love, do not chase the characters in your old story. Write yourself as the one who is already loved, already chosen, already desired, and watch how the stage rearranges. If you long for success, stop rehearsing the lines of failure. Instead, step into the role of the successful one in imagination. Feel its weight. Live its reality inwardly, and the world cannot help but provide the supporting cast to match it. Do you see? The story you write is not wishful thinking. The imagination is not a toy. It is the creative force. The inner scene is not fantasy. It is prophecy. Every belief you persist in becomes flesh and dwells among you. But here is the great challenge. Most people do not guard their pen. They allow the world to snatch it from their hand. Someone criticizes them, and they begin writing a story of inadequacy. A door closes and they begin writing a story of defeat. A friend walks away and they begin writing a story of rejection. But I say to you, guard your pen with your very life. Do not allow another's opinion, another's action, another's fleeting moment to dictate the eternal story you write of yourself. For if you surrender your pen, you surrender your destiny. Instead, take hold of it consciously. Each morning before the world rushes in, write deliberately in your imagination. Who are you today? The confident one, walking with head held high, the creator shaping life with intention, the beloved, radiating worthiness. Write it in feeling, in image, in certain, and return to it again and again, until the ink of belief soaks deep into the fabric of your being. Then watch as life cannot help but stage the very play you have authored. Let me leave you with this truth. The greatest power you hold is not to change others, not to control circumstances, not to rearrange the pieces on the board of life. Your greatest power is to rewrite the story of yourself. For when you do, the board resets, the pieces move, and the game transforms. So ask yourself now, if you are the author, if you hold the pen, if the world must act out the story you write, what story will you dare to tell from this moment forward? The discipline of inner attention. There is a secret door that opens only for those who learn to guard their inner gaze. Most people search the streets for answers. They search the skies for signs. They search in the faces of others for validation. But the power they seek is never out there. It rests quietly in the hidden sanctuary of attention. Your attention is the golden key. And wherever you place it, their life begins to take form. Pause and imagine for a moment. You are standing in a garden, and in your hand is a watering can. The soil stretches endlessly around you. Some patches are fertile, others are overrun with weeds. Now the water in your can is limited. Where will you pour it? Onto the weeds that choke you, or onto the seeds that nourish you? Each drop you release is your attention, and the garden of your life grows only where you decide to water. This is why attention is discipline, not the harsh discipline of punishment, but the sacred discipline of direction. To focus on yourself is not selfish. It is stewardship. It is saying, I will no longer water the weeds of fear, of gossip, of distraction. I will give my life-giving water to the flowers of faith, love, and vision. What you attend to expands, and what you withdraw from withers. But how many of us scatter our attention carelessly? One moment fixed on a past disappointment, another moment lost in imagining rejection, another consumed by what others think. And then we wonder why our lives are tangled with weeds. The truth is simple yet piercing. Your outer world reveals where your inner gaze has lingered. If you want to change the harvest, you must first change where you pour the water. Let me share a story. There was once a man who longed for peace, yet he constantly fed himself with news of turmoil, arguments with friends, and anxious conversations with himself. He would say, all I want is stillness. But each day he watered the weeds of unrest. Then one evening, tired of his own exhaustion, he sat alone in silence. He turned his attention away from the noise and began to imagine himself calm, centered, glowing with serenity. He gave his inner water to peace, and slowly, like a garden in spring, peace began to bloom in his outer world. His circumstances did not change overnight, but his attention changed instantly, and that change of focus redirected the entire course of his life. Attention is the discipline of masters. It is the invisible thread that ties the unseen to the seen. You cannot hold two images at once. You cannot dwell on defeat and expect victory. You cannot rehearse betrayal and expect loyalty. You cannot imagine yourself unwanted and then walk into the arms of love. Life is not confused. It will always give you the harvest of what you most faithfully attend to. And so I ask you, where has your attention been resting? If it has been chained to those who walked away, release it. If it has been imprisoned in memories of failure, unshackle it. If it has been dragged through the mud of comparison, lift it up. You do not owe your attention to the things that diminish you. You owe your attention to the self that is rising radiant and divine. The discipline of inner attention is like training a wild horse. At first your mind will run in every direction, toward fears, toward resentments, toward what others are doing. But with patience, you guide it back. Again and again you bring it home to your chosen vision. This is not about force. It is about consistency. For each time you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your power. And over time, your inner horse grows tame, strong, and obedient to your command. Then wherever you direct it, life must follow. Think of a sculptor who chips away at stone. Each strike of the chisel looks small, almost insignificant. Yet with steady persistence, the form emerges. So too with your attention. At first your imagination may feel clouded, your focus weak, your old stories stubborn, but keep chipping away. Keep bringing your mind back to the vision of who you are becoming. Soon the rough stone of your old self falls away, and the masterpiece of your true self stands revealed. This is not a one-time act. It is a daily practice. Each morning before the world lays claim to your mind, choose where you will direct your attention. See yourself already living the life you desire. Feel it. Breathe it. Wear it inwardly as if it were already draped across your shoulders. Then guard that image like a treasure throughout the day. When the weeds of fear or memory tug at you, refuse to water them. Turn your gaze deliberately back to the flower of your vision. This is discipline. Not a burden, but freedom. For when you master your attention, you master your life. You are no longer a puppet pulled by circumstances. No longer a servant to the opinions of others. You become the one who chooses, who directs, who authors reality. And though the world may swirl in chaos, within you there is order, clarity, and strength. Now let me make this plain. Attention is not about denying reality. It is about creating it. If your present moment is filled with lack, you do not pretend it is not there. Instead, you shift your gaze to the abundance within. And by doing so, you summon the conditions that will eventually express it. If your heart aches from loss, you do not numb yourself. You simply refuse to keep rehearsing the pain. And instead, you water the seed of new beginnings, new love, new joy. The discipline of attention does not ignore the old. It transcends it. And so as we step forward, I invite you to begin practicing this sacred discipline. Take inventory of your days. Notice where your thoughts linger. Catch yourself in the act of watering weeds and gently redirect. With time, Your garden will transform, and so will you. Let us close this section with a truth that cannot be broken. The world is not moved by your wishes. It is moved by your sustained attention. Where you dwell inwardly, you will live outwardly. Guard your gaze, and the unseen will bow to your command. 6. The power of letting go of others. There comes a moment in life when you realize that holding on to others is not an act of love. It is an act of bondage. We clutch people in our hearts as if our joy depends on their presence, as if our peace is tied to their choices. Yet the moment you grasp too tightly, the life force of your own spirit begins to suffocate. Letting go is not abandonment. It is liberation. It is the recognition that no one can carry the weight of your destiny but you. Imagine standing at the edge of a river holding a stone in each hand. One stone is heavy, filled with resentment, fear, or longing for someone who left. The other is light, a reflection of hope and faith in your own life. You cannot move forward while gripping both. The river calls you onward, yet the stones pull you backward. Letting go of them, the heavy stones of attachment, does not mean the river has changed. It means you are finally free to flow with it. We fear letting go because we believe our identity is entangled with others. If they leave, I will be lost, we whisper to ourselves. But what if the opposite is true? What if the moment you release them, you discover a self more expansive, more radiant, more alive than you've ever known? What if your very liberation is found in the space they no longer occupy? To let go is to reclaim your story, your power, and your imagination. Consider a tree in autumn. The leaves cling tightly, unwilling to fall. The branches groan under their weight. Yet those who survive the winter, those who bloom in spring, are the trees that release. They do not resist the wind, the cold, or the loss. They embrace it. And when the season of growth returns, they are stronger, more vibrant, and alive with possibility. We are no different. Those we cling to are not the source of our vitality. Our inner self is. Letting go allows us to shed what no longer serves and prepare for the abundance that waits. Let me tell you a story that lives in the hearts of many. A woman once carried the memory of someone who had turned away from her life. Each day she relived the absence, the rejection, the silence. Her heart grew heavy, and she believed that to hold on was loyalty. Yet one morning in a quiet room she asked herself a question: whose life am I living? Mine or theirs? In that moment, clarity struck like sunlight through fog. She realized that her attachment was a cage, and she had the key all along. Slowly, deliberately, she released her grip. She did not erase the past, nor did she hate what had occurred. She simply let it go, and in that release she felt her spirit expand. The world did not crumble. Instead, it opened, revealing opportunities and joys that had never existed, while her hands were clenched. Letting go is not about waiting for them to change. It is not about hoping they return or apologizing for your freedom. It is about shifting your inner world, aligning it with your own imagination, your own vision, your own peace. You may think that holding on will keep them near, but true attraction flows only from a heart unburdened, a mind at rest, a spirit undivided. The moment you release, you send a signal to life that you are whole, complete, and ready to receive what is truly yours. The paradox is profound. By releasing others, you gain influence over life itself. You no longer vibrate on the frequency of lack, fear, or dependence. Instead, you vibrate in the realm of creation, of possibility, of alignment. The universe is not moved by desperation. It is moved by freedom. And freedom is born when you stop trying to hold what never belonged to you, and start nurturing what has always been yours. Your imagination, your attention, your inner vision. Picture a kite held tightly by a child who fears it will fly away. The string cuts into the hands, the tension frustrates the wind, and the kite flutters angrily, fighting against the grip. Then imagine the child loosening the string, letting the kite soar. The kite rises effortlessly, dancing with the wind, and yet paradoxically it remains visible, alive, and part of the child's experience. Letting go does not sever the connection. It creates a dynamic flow in which freedom and connection coexist. So it is with people in our lives. Letting go is also a practice of imagination. Imagine the person you thought you could not live without, and picture them thriving, happy, free. Then imagine yourself thriving, happy, free, complete without them. Hold that image with vivid feeling. Do not allow your mind to wander back to old scripts of fear or longing. Persist. Dwell in the vision of your independence, your wholeness, your light. The more you do this, the more the external world must align with the internal scene. Many resist letting go because they fear loneliness. Yet what they fail to see is that the loneliness they fear is only the echo of their old attachment. True solitude is a sanctuary where you meet yourself fully. In this sanctuary, your imagination blossoms, your inner voice grows strong, your creative power awakens, and when you finally step back into the world, you do so as a magnet for those who align with your freedom, rather than a prisoner of those who no longer belong. So today I invite you to release the stones you have been carrying, the people, the expectations, the stories that drain your spirit. Do not do it with anger. Do not do it with shame. Do it with reverence for yourself, with gratitude for the lessons, and with unwavering faith in the life that awaits. For when you release, you do not lose. You ascend. You reclaim your power. You reclaim your story. You reclaim your life. And let this truth guide you forward. The moment you let go of others as the source of your completeness, you discover that the only source of all power, love and joy has been within you all along. And now, having learned the freedom that comes from release, we step into the next stage of transformation, understanding how your imagination, when fully embraced, becomes the architect of every moment to come. 7. Harnessing the imagination as your reality builder. Close your eyes for a moment and picture a canvas stretching endlessly before you. Now realize this: every circumstance in your life, every relationship, every success or struggle is merely paint upon that canvas. And the brush you hold is your imagination, what you choose to paint. What you vividly envision, feel, and inhabit inwardly becomes the outer reality that life will faithfully reflect. This is the power that has always been within you, waiting for your conscious embrace. Imagination is not a whimsical escape. It is the furnace of creation. Yet most people treat it casually, indulging in fleeting daydreams, letting old fears replay unchecked, and wondering why life remains unchanged. Imagine a sculptor who has all the finest marble, all the sharpest chisels, but who never lifts a tool. Would the statue emerge on its own? Of course not. So it is with life. Your imagination, properly directed, is the chisel, the hammer, the brush that shapes the unseen into being. Let me tell you a story. A young man walked through life believing he was unworthy of love. He observed the world through a lens of rejection, imagining only absence, betrayal, and loneliness. Then one night he decided to try a different practice. Before sleep, he imagined himself loved, embraced, celebrated. He saw the warmth of presence, the laughter shared, the trust flowing freely. He allowed himself to feel it fully, not as a wish, not as a hope, but as a fact in his inner world. Over time, the outer world began to shift. Doors opened. People appeared who resonated with the reality he had lived internally. Life was not granting him something new. It was reflecting the imagination he had consistently held. This is the law of imagination. That which you fully occupy inwardly must eventually find expression outwardly. Your imagination is the secret seed. The world is the soil. Plant with care, water with faith, tend with persistence, and your life will bloom in accordance with the vision you have held. But neglect it, or allow it to be polluted with fear, doubt, and longing for what is not yours, and the garden will produce nothing but weeds. Notice this: imagination does not rely on proof. You do not need the world to confirm your vision before you feel it. In fact, seeking confirmation prematurely diminishes its power. Imagine now a lamp in the dark. You can light it and walk confidently even if the room is pitch black. You do not wait for another to hand you a flame. Your imagination is the lamp. Your inner vision is the light. Trust it and step forward with unwavering certainty, for the outer world will catch up. Let us explore a metaphor. A river flows naturally toward the ocean, but it does not rush blindly. It winds around rocks, carves through soil, and moves steadily according to its own current. Imagination is the current, and life is the riverbank responding to its course. If you attempt to control every ripple, to coerce the water, to chase every obstacle, you create friction, frustration, and resistance. But if you allow the current to guide the flow, your river will carve valleys, nourish forests, and reach the vast ocean with unerring precision. The current is unseen. The riverbank is visible. Direct the current within, and the world must respond. The true mastery of imagination requires persistence. It is not enough to imagine once, fleetingly or casually. You must inhabit your vision fully, as if it were already complete. Feel the emotions, breathe the sensations, hear the sounds, see the colors, touch the texture. When you do this repeatedly, your inner state becomes so compelling, so undeniable, that the outer world has no choice but to mirror it. What you imagine consistently and believe deeply becomes your reality, whether in relationships, career, health. Yet many resist this power, thinking it is only for the extraordinary, the gifted, or the fortunate. This is a lie. Imagination is the birthright of every human being. You do not need validation, permission, or special talent. You only need to hold the vision, inhabit it fully, and persist until it manifests. Consider the stars above. Each burns with the fire of creation, yet they do not ask for permission. They shine, and the universe aligns around their light. So too, when you fully shine through your imagination, the universe cannot help but arrange itself in alignment with you. Let me offer a practical exercise. Each night before sleep, close your eyes and imagine a single desired outcome. Not vaguely, not as a hope, but as a living reality. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the confidence of already possessing it. Walk through it in your mind as if it is real. Persist night after night, until the feeling within is stronger than any outer circumstance. Then watch as life bends, folds, and shifts to accommodate what you already hold inside. Remember, imagination is not a substitute for action. It is the source of inspired action. When your inner vision is vivid and real, your steps align naturally. Opportunities appear, choices become clear, and your actions flow effortlessly from the certainty of the unseen. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are co-creating it. And so as we move forward from this understanding, let this thought anchor your spirit. The world cannot give what you already carry within. The power to shape your life is not outside. It is inside, waiting to be fully embraced. Your imagination is the architect, the designer, the unseen hand moving the world into harmony with your inner vision. And now, having learned the incredible creative force within, we prepare to step into the next stage, the alchemy of combining focus, imagination, and faith to manifest your highest vision into tangible reality. 8. Faith in the unseen, the alchemy of manifestation. What you cannot see is far more powerful than what you can. The unseen is the true architect of your life, and faith is the bridge that carries the invisible into the visible. Every material circumstance, every blessing, every opportunity began first as a spark in the unseen. Yet most people wait for proof, for the world to show them evidence, before they allow themselves to believe. This is why so many dreams falter, so many hearts remain unfulfilled. Faith in the unseen is the alchemy that turns thought into reality, vision into substance, desire into tangible life. Imagine a seed planted in the darkness of soil. You cannot see it grow. You cannot see the roots stretching, the shoot rising. Yet the seed does not demand proof to fulfill its destiny. It does not hesitate because it is unseen. It grows relentlessly toward the light. Faith is your seed's secret, the unseen motion of your inner world toward manifestation. It is not blind hope. It is the knowing that what is imagined inwardly must inevitably reveal itself outwardly. Let me tell you a story. A man desired a new life, a new home, a new freedom, yet he could see no evidence. His bank account was modest, his surroundings unchanged, his opportunities scarce. Yet every night he closed his eyes and imagined himself living fully in his desired reality. He felt the texture of the walls, the warmth of sunlight on his skin, the laughter of loved ones around him. He walked through each imagined moment with full conviction. He did not wait for evidence. He moved in faith as if the unseen were already present. And slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, doors opened, people arrived, circumstances shifted. His unseen vision became undeniable reality. The proof had always existed within. It merely needed the faith to bring it forth. Faith is the magnet that draws the unseen into the field of experience. It is not passive. It is not a quiet wish. It is the active, unwavering conviction that the life you imagine is already yours. The world will resist. Doubts will arise. Challenges will appear. Yet faith does not falter. Like a lighthouse in a storm, it stands unwavering, illuminating the path that the unseen has already carved. Consider a painter creating a masterpiece. They may begin with a blank canvas, no audience, no acclaim, no validation. Yet they see the finished work in the mind's eye with such clarity that the brush must obey. Each stroke, each color, each detail is guided by the vision unseen. yet fully believed. Life responds in the same way. Your imagination is the brush, your faith is the vision, and the outer world is the canvas. What you persist in seeing inwardly cannot help but emerge outwardly. Yet here is where most stumble. They imagine, but their faith falters. They dream, but their belief wavers. They wish, but their inner doubt leaks like water through a sieve. Faith must be disciplined. It must be cultivated. Every day, nourish it with imagination, attention, and feeling. Each time the mind doubts, counter it with the quiet, unshakable conviction that your unseen vision is already real. Do this repeatedly, and you will find that the world begins to respond as if life itself recognizes the authority of your inner certainty. Now let us explore a metaphor. A blacksmith molds metal with fire and hammer, shaping it into a tool or a weapon. The metal does not resist, because it is weak. It yields because of the heat applied, and the force directed with purpose. Faith in the unseen is like the fire and hammer applied to the substance of reality. Your belief, your imagination, your persistent inner vision shape circumstances, people and outcomes in alignment with your will. The unseen is malleable to your attention, yet it requires patience, consistency, and unwavering inner conviction. You might wonder, what if the world continues to resist? What if my vision does not appear as I imagined? This is precisely why faith must dwell in the unseen. The world will always attempt to provide evidence of lack, delay, or limitation. Yet the unseen, the core reality of your imagination, exists beyond all resistance. Faith allows you to bypass the appearances, to anchor in the invisible truth, and to walk as if the desired reality is already present. Your experience may not yet confirm it, but that is irrelevant. Faith moves first. The world follows. Let me offer a practical exercise to strengthen this alchemy. Each morning or evening, close your eyes and dwell on a single deeply desired reality. Feel it in your body, see it in your mind, hear it as if it is already real. Most importantly, feel the unwavering certainty that it exists, now in the unseen. Do this daily. Let it saturate your consciousness. Persist until your inner feeling becomes stronger than the evidence of the outer world. This is the practice of faith in the unseen. Faith is not only about personal gain, it is about alignment with the creative forces of life itself. The unseen is the source from which all love, abundance, health, and opportunity flow. By cultivating faith, you harmonize yourself with that source, allowing its creative power to work through you. You do not create in isolation. You co-create with the invisible intelligence that governs every imagined victory, every inner vision, every unshakable belief is an invitation for the unseen to take form in your life. And so, as we step forward from this understanding, let this thought anchor you. The unseen is the canvas of life. Imagination is the brush, and faith is the hand that guides it. Persist in seeing, feeling, and believing inwardly, and the outer world cannot help but bow to the reality you hold. Every circumstance, every relationship, every manifestation is simply the echo of the faith you carry in your inner world. And now, having embraced the power of the unseen and the discipline of faith, we prepare to enter the next section, living fully in the state of fulfillment, where the inner vision is no longer a distant dream, but a present reality awaiting expression. 9. Living in the end. Experiencing your vision now. What if I told you that the moment you imagine, feel, and inhabit your desired reality, it is already yours, that every heartbeat spent in doubt is a heartbeat wasted, while every heartbeat spent living in the end, experiencing the outcome as real, sends your world into alignment with the vision you hold. To live in the end is to step fully into the state of your fulfilled desire, not in anticipation, not in hope, but in absolute certainty that it is already complete. Imagine a theater stage. The curtains are drawn, the audience waits, the lights are dim. Now imagine you're already playing your final scene, the climax of your story. You act with confidence, with joy, with the knowledge that the script is yours, and the applause will inevitably follow. You do not rehearse doubt or fear. You act as if the story is already written and performed. Living in the end is the same. It is claiming the victory, the joy, the fulfillment now within your imagination, so that life outside cannot help but manifest it. Many fail because they live at the edge of desire, always looking forward, always waiting for the someday that never arrives. They say, when I am rich, I will be confident. When I am loved, I will be happy. When I achieve, I will be fulfilled. Yet fulfillment is not a reward for future conditions. It is the state you must inhabit first. Imagine a flower waiting to bloom, not because the sun will shine tomorrow, but because it has already opened inwardly. The outer petals follow the inner truth. Let me tell you a story. A woman longed for peace in her life. She had tried to rearrange circumstances, to persuade others, to chase external resolutions, yet true peace remained elusive. One day, she decided to practice living in the end. Each morning she closed her eyes and imagined herself fully at peace. She felt serenity coursing through her body, warmth radiating through her heart, a calm smile on her lips, and a sense of unshakable balance within. She did not wait for the world to change. She changed her inner state first, and slowly the outer world responded. Arguments softened, conflicts dissolved, opportunities opened, and her life began reflecting the inner peace she had inhabited. The key had never been outside, it had always been inside. To live in the end is not fantasy, it is the discipline of consciousness. It is seeing the invisible and acting as though it were visible. It is feeling the feelings of fulfillment before circumstance confirms them. Your imagination is not merely a tool, it is the reality shaper. The world outside cannot resist the truth you hold within. When you occupy the end, your inner state exerts a magnetic influence that draws every detail into alignment. Picture a musician tuning a violin. Before a single note is played, the strings are stretched, tensioned and aligned. When they are in perfect harmony, music flows effortlessly. Living in the end is tuning your consciousness. You stretch and align your inner state to the frequency of your desire. When it resonates fully, life responds effortlessly, as though the world itself were an instrument awaiting your touch. Notice this. Living in the end does not require seeing how it will happen. You do not need the pathway to appear fully formed. You do not need external evidence. In fact, seeking the steps first often blocks the end from manifesting. Instead, you must immerse yourself in the state. Feel it, believe it, and dwell in it so completely that no outer circumstance can shake it. The outer world will then organize itself around your inner reality, often in ways far more miraculous than you could imagine. The challenge is persistent. The mind will doubt. The world will present contradictions, memories of lack, voices of fear, and old habits will attempt to pull you back. Yet every time you return to the end, every time you feel the reality fulfilled, every time you act and think from that place, you reinforce the truth that your imagination is law and your consciousness is sovereign. With time, the inner state becomes habitual, natural, and unshakable. Living in the end is not an occasional act. It becomes your default reality. Let us explore a metaphor. Picture a lighthouse shining across a turbulent sea. The storm rages, waves crash, and darkness surrounds it. Yet the light remains unwavering. Ships far away see the light, follow it, and reach safe harbor. Your consciousness, when fully inhabited in the end, is like that lighthouse. No external circumstance can diminish its clarity. The outer world navigates toward the reality you consistently illuminate within. You are both beacon and creator, unwavering amid the storms of doubt and delay. And now for practical application. Begin each day imagining a single desired reality, as if it is fully complete. Feel the emotions, hear the sounds, see the details, and inhabit the experience completely. Carry it throughout the day. When challenges arise, do not retreat into old states of lack. Return to the end and dwell there with conviction. Each repetition strengthens the inner state, aligning mind, body, and spirit with the reality you seek. Over time, the external world becomes a mirror reflecting what you have already assumed internally. Living in the end is the culmination of all the previous steps. Attention disciplined, attachment released, imagination harnessed, faith unwavering. It is the state in which you are no longer a passive participant in life, but the active creator, the one who commands reality, not by force, but by inner authority. The outer world cannot resist the truth you embody. Every circumstance, every relationship, every manifestation flows from the state you occupy inwardly. And so, as we prepare to enter the final section of this journey, carry this thought with you. The life you desire is not a distant dream. It is a present reality awaiting your conscious embrace. Live in it now fully, and the world outside will follow the law of your inner assumption. 10. The transformative closing. Becoming the master of your life. Look around you. The world appears vast, uncontrollable, unpredictable. But within you lies a realm even greater, infinite and unbound. This realm is your consciousness, your imagination, your inner world. Here is the ultimate truth. Mastery of life does not come from struggling against circumstances, pleading with others, or waiting for opportunity. It comes from mastery of yourself, the art of consciously shaping your inner state so profoundly that the outer world cannot help but conform. You are the architect, the creator, the sovereign of your experience. Imagine standing at the summit of a mountain at dawn. The sky is painted in brilliant shades of gold and crimson. Below, valleys stretch, rivers wind, forests breathe in quiet harmony. You realize that this view, this expanse has always been there, yet you never fully saw it until you climbed. The climb was yours alone. The world did not lift you. And so it is with life. Every manifestation, every joy, every triumph is the result of your conscious ascent, your willingness to claim the heights of your imagination and faith. Let us return to the lessons we have explored together. First, you release the burden of attachment, letting go of others as the source of your completeness. Then you harness the power of your imagination, understanding that it is not idle thought, but the creative force shaping every circumstance. You cultivated faith in the unseen, knowing that reality always follows the convictions held within. And finally, you learn to live in the end, inhabiting your fulfilled desires now, with unwavering certainty. These steps are not abstract theory. They are practical, living principles. When applied, they transform every corner of your existence. Consider a sculptor carving a statue from marble. Each strike of the chisel requires vision, patience, and alignment with the unseen form within the stone. The sculptor does not allow frustration to dictate the work. They trust the shape already exists, waiting to be revealed. Your life is the marble, your imagination the chisel, and your consciousness the vision. Every choice, every focus, every feeling is a strike shaping the masterpiece that is uniquely yours. Trust in the inner form, persist in the work, and the world will yield to your creation. You may ask, but how do I sustain this mastery amidst life's chaos? The answer is simple yet profound. Remain anchored in your inner state. Do not surrender your mind to the noise, the opinions, or the distractions of the outer world. Treat every circumstance as a mirror, reflecting the state you occupy inwardly. If you are calm, centered, and certain, the world must echo that. If you are fearful, reactive, or attached to the outcomes, the world will reflect those vibrations. Mastery is not control over people or events. It is unwavering dominion over your inner life. Let me share a story. A man faced repeated obstacles in his career, betrayals in his friendships, and challenges that seemed insurmountable. For years he blamed circumstances, others, and luck. One day he paused and asked, where does life originate? In others or within me? With that question, he began a radical practice of inner focus. Each morning he imagined himself successful, confident, and fulfilled. Each night he reviewed the day with gratitude for the outcomes he desired, as if already present. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, doors opened, allies appeared, and opportunities arrived. The external world did not change on its own. The man had changed. His inner reality commanded the outer, and mastery unfolded naturally. Mastery also requires understanding the interplay of imagination, feeling, and attention. Imagination paints the vision, feeling animates it with life, and attention directs it with precision. If you imagine without feeling, the vision remains pale. If you feel without focus, the energy dissipates. If you attend without imagination, the mind is scattered. Combine all three deliberately, consistently, and persistently, and you are no longer a participant in chance. You are the author of destiny. Picture the sun rising over a tranquil sea. It does not announce itself with drama. It does not wait for permission. Yet with unwavering certainty, it fulfills its purpose, illuminating the world effortlessly. You too are like the sun in your own consciousness. When you claim your vision, embody it fully, and persist with faith, life lights itself in alignment with your inner state. No external circumstance can prevent the sunrise of your fulfilled reality. As we close this journey, understand this truth. The life you desire is not something to chase, manipulate, or beg for. It is a state to inhabit, a reality to embody, a masterpiece to unveil within your consciousness. The outer world is merely a reflection, obedient to the inner law you establish. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are not subject to chance. You are the conscious creator of every moment, every opportunity, every joy that life presents. To solidify this mastery, practice daily and begin each day with deliberate imagination of your desired life. Feel the emotions of fulfillment as if already present. Anchor your attention in that state, regardless of outer appearances. Release attachment to outcomes or others. As the source of your power, persist night and day, knowing that the unseen will inevitably manifest. And finally, know this. Mastery is not about accumulation, recognition, or material gain. It is about alignment, joy, freedom, and the profound peace that arises when your inner world governs your outer life. The moment you realize this, you no longer chase life, you create it. You no longer react, you act with authority. You no longer wait, you live fully, now as the fulfilled sovereign being you were always meant to be. So rise now, not as one waiting for life to deliver, but as one who already possesses the power, the vision, and the state of fulfillment. Your life is your canvas, your imagination is your brush, your faith is your light, and the masterpiece of your existence unfolds as you claim it moment by moment, thought by thought, feeling by feeling. Remember this forever. The world outside is powerless against the truth within. When you master your inner state, you become the master of life itself. The life you imagine, feel, and inhabit now is the life that awaits, inevitably, in the world outside. Claim it, live it, be it.